Hey everyone, it's Maggie from Just Call Maggie. Today we're diving into the world of encumbrances. We're talking liens, easements, encroachments, and more. You might be wondering, what is an encumbrance and why should I care? Well, let me tell you, understanding encumbrances is so important because they affect the ownership, the value, and the use of real property. So if you're studying for your real estate exam, this is a must watch because encumbrances can affect property ownership in significant ways. So let's break them down together. Let's begin by defining what an encumbrance is. An encumbrance is any claim or liability that affects the title to property. Think of it as a cloud over the title that doesn't necessarily prevent the transfer of property, but it does affect its use or value. We're going to focus on four main types: liens, easements, licenses, and encroachments. First up, liens. A lien is a legal claim on someone's property, usually as security for a debt. If the debt isn't paid, the creditor may have the right to foreclose on the property. There are several types of liens you need to know. Let's start with the mortgage lien. This is the most common type where a lender has a lien on the property until the mortgage is paid off. This is seen mostly in lien theory states where the lender places a lien on the property as security for the loan. Next up, mechanics lien. This is placed by contractors or workers who haven't been paid for their services. Then we have tax lien. This is where the government places this lien if property taxes aren't paid. And a judgment lien, well, this results from court rulings where the property owner owes money due to a lawsuit. Another important thing you need to know about liens is that liens also have a priority, which determines the order in which they get paid off in the event of a foreclosure or sale. Generally, property tax liens and or assessments by the government take the highest priority, followed by mortgage liens and then any other liens like judgment or mechanics liens. When it comes to liens, the general rule is first in time, first in right. This means that liens are usually paid off in the order they were recorded. Let's break down how this works. The date of a lien is recorded in the public records is very important. The first lien to be recorded generally has the highest priority, meaning it gets paid off first if the property is sold or foreclosed upon. But we always have exceptions. For instance, property tax liens, assessments, and sometimes HOA or homeowner association liens can take priority over other liens regardless of their recording date. To illustrate how liens are paid off by recording date, let's look at an example. Imagine these liens are recorded on a property. January 10, 2012, a mortgage lien is recorded. June 30th, 2014, a judgment lien is recorded. August 10, 2020, a second mortgage lien is recorded. And March 15, 2022, a tax lien is recorded. In this scenario, even though the tax lien was recorded last, it takes priority and gets paid off first. After that, the first mortgage lien, which was recorded earliest, is paid off, followed by the judgment lien, and finally, the second mortgage lien. So in essence, while most liens follow the first in time, first in right rule based on their recording dates, always remember that property tax liens and certain other specific liens like assessments imposed by the government can override this order due to special status. Next, let's talk about easements. An easement is the right to use someone else's land for a specific purpose. There are several types of easements. Easement appurtenant. This is where it benefits a neighboring property. For example, a shared driveway. These types of easements run with the land because they are tied to the property itself, not to the owner. This means that the easement benefits and burdens the properties regardless of who owns them. When the property is sold, the easement rights and obligations transfer to the new owner. Next, easement in gross. This benefits a person or entity, not a specific property. Think utility companies with power lines running through your yard. These types of easements also run with the land and benefit the utility company while burdening the property owner. Next up, easement by necessity. This is granted when there is no other way to access a property. Next up, easement by prescription. This occurs when someone uses another's property openly and continuously for a statutory period, usually 10 to 20 years. Think adverse possession. Now, let's dive into a key concept when discussing easements: servient and dominant properties. Understanding these terms will help clarify how easements work and who benefits from them. When it comes to easements, there are always two parties involved: the servient property and the dominant property. Servient property is where the property that bears the burden of the easement. In other words, it's the property that provides the right of way or use to another property. The dominant property, well, this is the property that benefits from the easement. It's the property that enjoys the right to use the servient property for a specific purpose. Let's consider a shared driveway between two homes. This is an example of an easement appurtenant, where both properties benefit from the use of the driveway. However, one property typically has the legal right to use the driveway over the other. Imagine two neighboring properties, property A and property B. If property A needs to use a part of property B's land to access the main road, the arrangement is as follows. Property B is the servient property because it bears the burden of the driveway easement. Property A is then the dominant property because it benefits from the use of the driveway on property B. In this scenario, property A relies on property B to provide access to the road. Property A is the dominant property because it holds the easement right to use the driveway. Property B, on the other hand, is the servient property because it must allow this use. It's essential to know who maintains the driveway and how it's used. Typically, maintenance, responsibilities, and usage rights are detailed in the easement agreement. Both properties need to adhere to these terms to ensure smooth coexistence. Understanding the roles of servient and dominant properties is essential for recognizing how easements affect property use and ownership. It also helps clarify who has rights and responsibilities in these legal arrangements. Now let's discuss licenses. A license is a temporary revocable right to use another's property. It's different from an easement because it doesn't run with the land and can be revoked at any time. For example, a friend allows you to park your car on their property for a few weeks. This permission is a license, and your friend can revoke it whenever they choose. Lastly, we have encroachments. An encroachment occurs when one property owner builds or extends something onto their neighbor's property. This can lead to disputes and might require legal action to resolve. Imagine your neighbor builds a fence that extends a few feet into your yard. This is an encroachment, and it can become a significant issue, especially if it affects property value or usage. All right, guys, it's quiz time. Let's see if you're ready for the exam with a few practice questions. Here are 10 practice questions based on what we just discussed to see if you are ready to face your real estate exam. You may want to take note how many you get right so you can leave a comment below on how well you did. Here we go. Number 1. What is the primary characteristic of an encumbrance on a property? Is it A, it prevents the transfer of the property? B, it is a cloud on the title that affects the property's use or value? C, it always results in foreclosure? Or D, it increases the property's market value? The answer is B. An encumbrance is any claim or liability that affects the title to property. impacting its use or value, but not necessarily preventing its transfer. All right, number 2. Which of the following liens generally has the highest priority in the event of a foreclosure? Is it A, judgment lien recorded March 2001, B, mechanics lien recorded August 2012, C, mortgage lien recorded September 2000, or D, assessment lien recorded in May of 2019? The answer is D. Assessment liens typically have the highest priority, like tax liens, and are paid off before other types of liens, regardless of their recording date. Number 3, if a mechanics lien was recorded on June 15, 2021, and a mortgage lien was recorded on March 5th, 2022, which lien would likely be paid off first in a foreclosure, assuming no property tax lien exists? Is it A, a mechanics lien, B, mortgage lien, C, both are paid equally, or D, neither lien will be paid off? The answer is A. In the absence of a property tax lien, liens are usually paid off in the order they were recorded. So the mechanics lien recorded in 2021 would be paid before the mortgage lien recorded in 2022. Number 4. What distinguishes an easement appurtenant from an easement in gross? Is it A, an easement appurtenant benefits a specific person or entity, while an easement in gross benefits a neighboring property? B, an easement appurtenant benefits a neighboring property, while an easement in gross benefits a specific person or entity? C, an easement in gross can be transferred with the property, while an easement appurtenant cannot? Or D, an easement appurtenant can be revoked, while an easement in gross cannot? The answer is B. An easement appurtenant benefits a neighboring property, like a dominant property, while an easement in gross benefits a specific person or entity. Number 5. In a shared driveway scenario, which property is the servient property? Is it A, the property benefiting from the driveway use, B, the property providing the driveway for use, C, both properties equally, or D, neither property? The answer is B. The servient property is the one that provides the right of way or use to another property. So in a shared driveway, it is the property allowing access. Number 6, how does an easement by necessity typically come into effect? Is it A, it is granted through continuous and open use over time? B, it is established by court ruling? C, it is granted when there is no other reasonable access to a property? Or D, it is a right given to utility companies? The answer is C. An easement by necessity is granted when a property owner has no other reasonable means of access to their property. Okay, number 7. What is a key difference between a license and an easement? Is it A, a license is permanent and runs with the land? B, an easement can be revoked at any time while a license cannot? C, a license is temporary and revocable while an easement is more permanent and typically runs with the land? Or D, an easement benefits a specific person while a license benefits a specific property? And the answer is C. A license is a temporary revocable right to use another's property, while an easement is a more permanent right that typically runs with the land. Number 8. What happens if a property owner builds a fence that extends onto a neighbor's property? Is it A, it is considered a license? B, it is an encroachment? C, it is an easement by prescription? Or D, it is a legal right of way? And the answer is B. Building a fence that extends onto a neighbor's property without permission is considered an encroachment. Number 9. Which of the following is a type of lien that could affect the sale of a property? Is it A, easement, B, license, C, mortgage, or D, encroachment? The answer is C. A mortgage lien is a type of debt on the property. When you sell the property, the mortgage lender must be paid from the sale proceeds first, so it affects the sale of the property. Easements, licenses, and encroachments don't involve money owed in the same way, so they don't affect the sale in the same financial sense. Number 10, if a utility company has a right to install and maintain power lines on a property, what type of encumbrance is this? Is it A, a license, B, easement in gross, C, easement appurtenant, or D, encroachment? And the correct answer is B. A utility company's right to install and maintain power lines is an easement in gross, as it benefits the company and runs with the land. So how'd you do on our little quiz? Let me know in the comments. I want to show you another way you can understand these concepts a little further. My ebook, The Educated Agent, A Savvy Guide to Real Estate, is packed with all the key terms and concepts you'll need to ace your real estate exam. So if you're struggling with remembering definitions or need a handy reference, this ebook has got you covered. I created this ebook to solve the common problems students face when studying for the real estate exam. It's easy to get overwhelmed with all the information, but with The Educated Agent, you can streamline your study process and feel more confident. Imagine shrinking all the information in a book this size into something that's about 1/6 of the size, with clickable links that will guide you directly to my videos right here on YouTube and to practice exam questions. This ebook is a way to capture everything you need to know for the vocabulary you'll see on the exam. Don't forget, studying smart is just as important as studying hard. Make sure to focus on the areas where you feel least confident and use resources like my ebook to fill in the gaps. So in this video, we covered the essential aspects of encumbrances, including liens, easements, licenses, and encroachments. We discussed how each type affects property ownership, value, and use. We also explored different types of liens, their priority, and how they are handled in foreclosure situations. We also looked at various easements, their functions, and the differences between these easements and licenses. Finally, we touched on what happens when one property encroaches on another. I hope you found today's video all about encumbrances super helpful. Understanding these concepts is key for anyone involved in real estate, whether you're preparing for your exam or just looking for more information. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel and lets me know that you're finding these topics useful. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future content. I'd also love to hear from you. Leave a comment below with how many questions you got right on the quiz or any questions that you might still have about encumbrances. I'm here to help you. And before you go, check out the next video on the screen all about the different types of ownership. It's packed with more essential info that will give you a comprehensive understanding of property ownership, which is just as important as knowing about encumbrances. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep learning, stay curious, and happy studying.